Glenburgie, or as Ollie likes to call it, Glenburgie, which I believe is now the mandatory way to say it. But I might kick off and then hopefully Yao and Calvin will pop in a little bit later in a minute. So officially, welcome everyone to tonight's Thompson Brothers virtual tasting. This has been an absolute age coming, thanks to the horror unleashed upon us by the postal gods. I can't even tell you how frustrating it was seeing the tracking on it. And it was multiple cases of whiskey ping-ponging back between two different locations in New South Wales. And I think I got to the point where I was like, I will drive 9 hours just to pick it up, just so we can taste this whiskey and enjoy this whiskey. But yes, and unfortunately, tragically, one of those cases was shattered on its trip. So we had to swap out some of the whiskey tastings. But considering the special swap-in drams, I think we've done all right. I'm very, very excited about the Clynelish. We have had replacement bottles of the Glenallachie and the Williamson sent to the warehouse. So those should be available for purchase tonight, along with a couple of others. Ollie will go over that in a little bit more detail a bit later on. But we didn't want to delay this tasting anymore. We wanted to get it in and enjoy these drams. So finally, here we are tonight. I think I saw Yao sneaking in just along there. So Yao, of course, from the Elysian, fine purveyor of all things Thompson Brothers, alongside Kelvin. So they bring Thompson Brothers into Australia and are good mates with the Thompson Brothers. There are Thompson Brothers. But before we get underway, usual housekeeping. If you've got 6 glasses so you can go back and compare them, we highly recommend it, especially with these, because there's quite a lot of light bourbon cask ones, bourbon cask style ones. I think it'll be really interesting. Please don't drive afterwards. Responsible drinking is always encouraged. All of our tastings are recorded as well for those who want to watch them back or who can't join us tonight. If you have any questions or tasting notes, please pop them in the chat. I'm seeing out of the corner of my eye, everyone's already getting in on the chat, talking smack. I love it. Ollie can't stick around too long tonight, so he'll share the link and details for the Thompson Brothers that we have for sale, with, I believe, a 10% discount for everyone here tonight. Yep. And the Thompson Brothers Linkwood is part of our very special Something for Everyone Christmassy selection, I suppose. Is our end of the year, kind of 4 bottles that are absolutely cracking. So there's an extra discount on that one tonight as well. And of course, run the poll at the end to see what the pick of the night is. But let's see if we can find Yao and draw him out from his, has he left? Oh my God.
He saw my face and then decided to do a runner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's tuck in to the first dram that we have tonight then, without too much trouble. So first dram of the night is the Sutherland 5-year-old blended malt. So 3 bottles because Yao's not here. No, Ian, if only. So where's my bottle? Oh, it's knocked over. Oh no. So Sutherland 5-year-old Highland blended malt. So for those of you who may or may not know, Thompson Brothers, like every other independent bottler out there nowadays, has their own distillery. So the Thompson Brothers started up Dornoch Distillery, and they've been producing their own spirit there. They're only just starting to release their own spirit. And because of the limited production that they do have, they release it very carefully in that only people who they really like can get it, which is kind of a little bit weird. But so because Yao and Kelvin are distributors here in Australia, they've been lucky and fortunate enough to get the first Dornoch 5-year-old spirit, which is understandably why this is a 5-year-old blended malt. It would be 5-year-old Dornoch single malt going in, alongside another single malt, which I believe might be Clynelish, Ollie, if you can.
It's a secret.
Confirm or deny.
It is a secret Highland, aka the meow on the label.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, cat on the label, very, very likely to be Clynelish. It's Clynelish. We'll just say it. No one's going to come after me for that. So let me crack open my bottle. Now, I think this is probably the one I was most curious about. We're tasting, and I'll be curious to see as well. Has anyone in the group tried Dornoch before? So, like one nod and mostly no's. Yep, more than fair. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it's back.
Hello.
Huzzah! There you are.
Hey, there we go.
Oh my
Oops.
god. Look at you, so high tech with the the sideways screen.
Trying to figure out. 1 second. It's on the mobile, so.
Oh my gosh. Yep. I love that
there
you
we
were
go.
the least tech savvy person I know, Yao.
Oh, that's perfect. No, it's just, yeah, no, normally not on the mobile. So.
Yeah. So we've just poured the Sutherland, the 5-year-old. Do you know how old the Secret Highland Clynelish single malt that
Not
was?
too sure for that one. I think it was something like 9 or 10 or something around that age. A couple of barrels of that, and then a teaspoon of Brora, Porter MacPhail 1982 Brora.
Wow.
Can I ask why they did that?
Because it's a homage to the sort of the area, the Sutherland area, and all these distilleries that were there, and they're obviously the new distillery on the block. So they want to put a little bit of everything in there. So it's only rightful to put a bit of splash of Brora in there.
That's very cool.
I mean, the fact that they could get their hands on it.
Oh, it was kind of a sort of bottle that was around, and well, it was the empty bottle is now sitting in the office. Actually, funny enough, it is now empty. It wasn't when I visited.
Yeah, amazing. Do you know kind of the ratios of, because obviously I've tried to look it up, but you're the man with the connections to fill.
As far as I know, it was, I think, 2 casks of Clynelish in there, then like 1 of Dornoch, I think, from memory.
Okay, cool.
So the batch was fairly big, but it was for Surge's the 20th anniversary. So
Yeah, wow. Well, do you want to tell the team, well, tell the guys a little bit more about Dornoch Distillery and the style that they make their spirit in? Because obviously they've got an alembic still, which is a bit unusual.
yes. So Dornoch Distillery is super tiny, the size of a garage in Dornoch. Just behind, sort of just around the corner from where the Dornoch Castle Hotel is. They are looking at a new site soon. It will be much, much larger, but they will keep this current site that they're producing on going. They're doing a lot of, so they're a lot really, really inspired by old style whiskey. So think about, 1950s and 1960s whiskey, like 60s Scapa and the like. And they're just trying to produce a spirit more similar to kind of that more rustic style back then. Less of a rush in trying to get the ferments out really quickly, slow distillation, using heritage grains, making old school whiskey, but safely, unlike some pretty interesting rustic places that I've seen that have now closed down. But yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I might find a photo of it later to show everyone, but yeah, it's a little bit
I got a couple of photos from my phone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can share. Let me see if I can let me see if I can share my screen. Let's see. Here we go. Photo.
Have you been to the distillery yet?
Yeah, I was there in May. And I got to have a look at the new site as well. It was, I mean, obviously it's still a green field there, but it's considerably larger than what they have at the moment. All
Yeah.
right, let's have a look.
Otherwise, if you want to send me the photos, I can easily pop them up.
Oh, they've it's coming up. I can share them. I'm just gonna look at the. See me get you a good scale of what it actually looks like.
Well, I love the tasting
There
notes
we
that are
go.
coming through. Buttery, very grassy, very creamy. 100%.
So that's a photo of the actual whole distillery. You can see like the mash tun there. You see the very hard to see the stills just there. Let me get a better photo for you of the inside.
Some high-tech stuff over here.
Oh, very much so. It's yeah, it's so old school. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's Sir. Apologies, my cat has just decided that the door was not open far enough for him. But yeah,
there we go. That's the stills there. So those are the actual stills. You can see them very alembic style.
Yeah.
Downward line arms.
How big are they?
You've been to the old Melbourne moonshine?
Yeah.
Yeah, that size.
Oh my god, they're small.
Yeah, tiny.
Tiny.
And then just behind where this picture is taken, they've got a small gin still as well.
Yeah.
So they're not producing on the same stills.
That's always convenient. But yeah. Love the notes. Sign of a good blend. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a blended malt. It feels very well integrated. If you gave it to me blind, I would have told you, I'm like, oh, this is an Ardmore, like a very lightly peated Ardmore. It's got that butteriness and whatnot. Ian's getting hints of the waxy note and Scottish tablet. Agree on the creaminess, lovely palate, says Michael. Typical bourbon notes, vanilla, honey, green apples, grassy notes. Yeah, I think it's got a little bit more complexity than I was anticipating, which I really enjoy. But at the same time, it's still light enough that I don't feel like I'm trudging through drinking it, if that makes sense. But yeah, very cool. All right. Well, shall we move on to the Teaninich? I believe I pronounced that right. Do you pronounce it Teaninich, Yao? This is the one situation where I have to refer to.
I pronounce it Teaninich.
Teaninich. Yeah. Nice. And yeah, if you wanted to tell us a little bit more about the Thompson brothers and how they kind of got into whiskey and all that.
So they originally started managing their family's kind of hotel, and in there is a wonderful whiskey bar. And like I said, their big focus, if you ever visit Donok Hotel, is actually their collection of quite vintage whiskies. And one of the main goals when they had this kind of site to create their own whiskey was recreating that flavor. It's like, why don't whiskeys today, taste like what they used to? That old saying of, they don't make them like they used to. So they are trying to make them like they used to. And obviously, they're very good friends with, Angus from Whiskey Sponge. And, he's opening Kaif Distillery. And he as well is going to be making an old style whiskey. They're friends with Sukhinder from the Elixir Distillers when they've now purchased Tomo. And what they're trying to do with them as well, they're trying to turn the production of Tomo back to something like back in the 60s. So they're all they're part of this movement of trying to recreate older style whiskeys at a modern day era. But, leading up to that, obviously you need time to mature whiskey properly. And yes, they do make gin on the side, but that's not their main thing. Their main thing is actually, to be an independent bottler. So hence the Thompson Brothers bottlings came about, and it's one of their sort of the main purpose of, gathering funds to upgrade the distillery to the new site.
Yeah, I believe Kelvin was telling me So are they expanding their distillery? Are they building a new distillery? What's kind of happening?
New distillery. Yeah,
New
brand new
distillery.
distillery.
Wow.
Brand new distillery. It's going to be sort of more one of those more sustainable carbon neutral style distilleries, but slow production again, long ferments, natural. So they do a lot of open air fermentation as well, 7 days plus before they do their distillations.
Yeah, amazing.
But the bottlings are at the moment the bottlings are the big part of what they're doing. They do get a lot sort of they're pretty high up in the chain of, I guess, being able to select cask that come through from the brokers and whatnot, and being able to get directly from distilleries as well. Like Ian from North Star also gets access to that kind of stuff, where you deal directly with the distillery. So that means you can bring the cost of bottling cask down, and they definitely pass that on as well. You notice how amazingly affordable some of the bottlings are, and yeah, they don't worry too much of having like boxes and packaging and whatnot. It's more about the whiskey and getting people to drink it at a really accessible price. And they also do things like encourage you to, the way they've done their ballot system is actually pretty cool when you buy directly from them. Or they have a Facebook page, fans of Donok, and every time you post a picture of your open bottle, you actually get noted in the ballot system for a higher point system. So you get a higher chance to win bottles the more you post open bottles.
Yeah.
They want you to drink it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, I think we had a virtual tasting with Phil Thompson ages ago, and he was like, we want people to open it and drink it. If we see your bottle on a resale market, you're taken off of ballots. Like, we're not interested in people who just want to flip it or just want to hang on to it and then sell it later. It's all about drinking it and enjoying it, which is amazing. We got quite a few little questions. I love the caramel popcorn, and the popcorn notes that everyone's getting is amazing. Leo, I also kind of get that Chardonnay kind of, what is it? Malic tartaric acid kind of thing to it as well on the Teaninich. Ollie's curious to know what we kind of think of, how did all these guys get to the same conclusion of old style? I mean, it's very much nostalgia core, like this dream of better days in the 60s and 70s when none of these guys were around and whiskey was being produced. What do you think of this trend? Yeah.
Oh, I think it's great because, I'm also a big lover of that particular style of whiskey, and you do notice a trend from a lot of those whiskeys back then. They were, you had bottlings, for example. Let's say use Macallan for a big example. It's a really really big distillery. Everyone knows who they are, but whiskeys from Macallan that were distilled / bottled in the 60s and 70s, even though they get bottled at, let's say, 43%, they actually drink so much bigger than, like that kind of percentage versus something that's bottled today at 43%. It almost tastes watery. It's interesting. Yeah. So the spirit character was already different. Not to say, definitely the cast was obviously different. We can't get those long age sherry casks that have spent 50 to 100 years in the Solera system. You fight to the death for casks like that these days. But cask aside, the spirit itself, I've tasted new makes that were sort of distilled from that era. They're so much oilier, so much richer. I guess the grain was also different. Yeah, look, not rushing.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And look, I have to admit, I'm one of those people as well. I love the old school. I have a particular penchant for bottled blended whiskies from the 60s and stuff. And even like the grain component in that is so different to,
super delicious.
As well, you think about like we've got genetically modified grains nowadays, and corn and wheat and all that kind of stuff. And so you're like, well, it would have tasted different back then because the plants were even different back then, which is really, really cool. I feel we may have lost Yao again. Oh no, maybe not. Oh
No,
no.
I think my camera is just off. That's all.
Fair enough. All good. Don't freak out when I can't see you. Amazing. Love the notes. Very peachy. Ian's getting apricot and pear pudding when he adds water. That sounds amazing. Michael roasted stone fruits. Yeah, in popcorn, salt, water crackers. Yeah, so there's a captain's table a little bit. There's water crackers, touch of hay. Yeah, super interesting. Like I wish I'd known that there was a touch of brewer in the Sutherland. We might have swapped these two around, but I think the ABV on the Teaninich holds it really well. Like,
Is this the stout cask you did?
no, this would be the Hogshead, I believe.
Trying to think which label this was. I can't remember which ones we sent to you.
Well, it's very light in color.
Oh, wait, yes, yeah, I know which one that one is.
But now that I
Yeah,
know,
yeah, super vanilla malty.
But yeah, amazing. So, actually, whiskey number 3 is pretty special to you. The Serendipity 6-year-old whiskey number 3.
Ah,
Years.
yes.
Emma, before we jump into it, can I very quickly let everyone know about the whiskies on sale tonight?
Absolutely, you can. I would be heartbroken if you didn't.
I have to jump off early tonight, but we'll leave you in capable hands of Yao and Emma to heckle each other throughout tonight. But the code is T10, which, like we always do with all our virtual tastings, at least 10% off for all those whiskies. So again, our apologies for the mix-up of Australia Post with the Williamson and the whichever one, the Glenallachie, which we just couldn't get to you in time to make up these kits. But we've received a small parcel of stock with them. Some of the others available. And as Emma mentioned, the Linkwood, which we're featuring as part of our Something for Everything holiday releases. But we're doing a $20 off that one tonight. The rest are all 10%. So use that code. Any questions, always drop me an email, oliver@thewhiskylist.com.au or Emma and we'll sort you out. Yeah, that's it from me. Always appreciate the support with the brand so we can keep these tastings going.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks,
Ollie.
Thank you. And I might copy paste it so we can share it again later on because I am forgetful. So yeah, this Serendipity 6-year-old refilled sherry but blended malt.
Yes.
Did you like
blended whiskey?
Oh, it's a blended whiskey. There's a grain component.
Yeah, no, blended malt, blended whiskey.
Apologies for our typo then, everyone. What made you decide on bottling a blended whiskey for your next Thompson Brothers?
Right. So this one was quite interesting. There was actually quite a large parcel of these particular casks going around. They were all from Edrington. Do you have a picture of the bottle, or are you holding the bottle that you can actually show it up?
I will share a picture of the bottle.
So they were all from Edrington. There we go. So you'll notice there's an interesting looking cat on the label. And there's an interesting bridge in behind, and there is a kangaroo on it. Now, kangaroo obviously signifies us in Australia. The cat is actually wearing a grouse outfit. So it's actually in a costume. So that gives a clue to one of the components that's in there, and that's actually the younger component. And then there's another famous distillery from Edrington. That's the bridge behind it is the bridge you actually walk over. It's called Craigellachie Bridge. And so it's not Craigellachie Distillery, but it's the one that is just over the bridge. When you're in Craigellachie, you walk over that and you come to this gigantic distillery that starts with M, with a lot of sherry in it. So what it is, it's a bunch of casks of 12-year-old distillery M. That was, I think it was the story that I heard. It was a big mix-up, and somebody accidentally vatted some grouse with distillery M and ended up with this patch of really delicious sherry whiskey. sherry cask whiskey, but they couldn't quite sell it because it didn't quite fit what they needed. So they redistributed it in a cask and let it go. So there are actually quite a few of these ones around. Thompson Brothers managed to get their hands on quite a few of them because they're really good value whiskeys. The bulk of it is 12-year-old Macallan, basically. Hence, if you do drink a lot of 12-year-old Macallan, when you taste this whiskey, it's like, oh yeah, that's a lot of sherry cask, and all of it was matured in sherry cask. And so happened kind of toward the end of last year, a good friend of ours, Mr. Yamaoka from Japan, who was in Dornoch. He was kind of walking around the cask. He was like, hey, I came across this cask. We should do like a little friendship bottling. And he named it a wonderful serendipity is because there was an old bottling from a different company that was called Serendipity. It was because somebody mixed up a vatting. I think it was Ardbeg and Glenmurray that was kind of accidentally vetted together, but they released it anyway as a blended malt, and it was called Ardbeg Serendipity. And it tasted great actually. It actually tasted really, really yummy. I remember opening a bottle of it many years ago at Whiskey and Helmet, and it was really delicious. So this was sort of a homage to that bottling, an accidental incident that still produced a really tasty whiskey, but you didn't know quite what to do with it. And the Teaninich was added in there just to give it a slightly different touch to the rest of the cask that was there. The label, very cute, was designed by Andrew from Indonesia. He does a lot of wonderful artwork for a lot of whiskey bottles, a lot of Thompson Brothers bottles as well. But yeah, just a lot of great whiskey artwork. Andrew he's got a couple bars in Jakarta now, and he's actually one of the founders of the Highland Inn in Jakarta. So he's involved with that.
Oh, yes, I recall them talking about a Highlander in the Asian region, which is very exciting to see that go through. Awesome.
So that's our closest Highlander Inn is now in Jakarta.
It's a much cheaper flight, I assume.
Correct.
Sounds good. But yeah, what are people thinking about this? It's so interesting. I will say, when you're chatting about the 12-year-old Macallan, it is a little bit more on that 12-year-old Macallan from the 2000s rather than the stuff that we're seeing bottled right now, right next door. But yeah, super interesting. Did you have a say in the label, or was it just Andrew?
No, I mean, normally it's just Andrew. Just we have it a couple of different drafts, but there was one really, really nice label actually, and it had the Alfie's house behind it, but I think it was a little bit too on the nose. So we're like, okay, no, let's just do Craigellachie Bridge instead. And yeah, it was like, okay, cool. People should know if they really like Macallan. Oh, people should know. Like, not many people have been to Macallan, so I don't think they know.
Yeah.
But it worked out. I mean, it's a great whiskey, so.
Yeah, exactly.
And a great label.
When you say Edrington Distilleries, like a secret Edrington distillery, it's like, there's only like 2 that don't like to put their names in things. Yeah, no.
Yeah. But more than anything, I think a lot of people are attracted to that cat in the grouse outfit.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? You should buy whiskey like you buy wine. Just look at it for a fun label.
Correct.
Yeah, no.
Totally judge a book by its cover. I'm not going to stand at the bookstore and read the whole thing.
Exactly. Michael, interesting to say the least. Very well balanced, integrated, and the sweetness and dryness, the sherry influence is coming through. Yeah, it's got this almost like on the finish, it's got this like stringy green bean thing to me, which might be the Teaninich and the Glenturret kind of coming through and giving it an earthiness. But yeah, super, super interesting. And 46.2%, was that an ABV that you thought about bringing it down to, or was that kind of?
No, that was how they came.
Yeah, cool.
So the casks after vatting, they all come up to around this percentage.
Yeah. Fair enough. It's always interesting as well when you get like those mixes in, but yeah, it's I will say I haven't had a Famous Grouse blended whiskey in a while, but maybe I should try it again for research purposes and compare it to this and see like
Oh, there you go. Leo saying can't drink the label. Soon run out of storage if I kept empty bottles. The trick is actually to remove the labels and put it in the catalog.
Mm.
And there are wonderful ways of doing that. I've got a really cool, wonderful catalog of vintage whiskeys that we've taken the labels off. We actually have some at the bar, actually, like old Port Ellens and whatnot that we finished at the bar. We kind of remove the labels and keep it in a folder. It looks really great as like a little scrapbook.
I will have to figure out how you do that because I'm pretty sure the empty bottles I have clogging up my house I liked just because.
I can tell you right now, and everybody that wants to know, it's you use a wine label remover.
Where the hell does one get that?
You can buy them online. So there's like a little sticky film. You put it over the bottle and just let it sit for a while to glue the set, and then you just peel it off, and it takes the top layer of the label off. And yeah, and then you can just put it in between another plastic layer, and and then you punch it and put it into a scrapbook. It's great. They're so wonderful. I saw it in Japan like 10 years ago. I was like, wow, this is super cool. It's like way more space efficient. Like, what have we been doing keeping all these stupid bottles?
Yeah, no, I will say because if anyone has, well, obviously, like Leo's been recently, but if anyone else hasn't been, I'm pretty sure you are running out of space to seat people because you have empty bottles galore of rare.
Oh yeah.
It's taking up a little bit too much.
The problem is not less the bottles, it's the boxes. Because the packaging is really nice for some of these, but the boxes are what's taking up a lot of space. I'm like, oh, this is really nice timber. They put a lot of effort into this box, and I paid for this box. So
that's the hardest part. Is it's like, oh, I know that they charge me premium just for this goddamn.
I know. I've always asked, like, especially for the more expensive bottles, like, can I get a discount if I don't, have the box, because I'm not displaying it. I'm just opening and drinking the liquid. I don't need the box.
Yeah.
But no. Oh well.
Tragic. Well, Ian would be happy to take full bottles off your hands to make more room.
You can buy them today with a T10, 10% off promo code.
Yeah, amazing. Well, let's shuffle on to whiskey number 4. So I'm aware of the time. I think this is probably one I'm most excited about. The Glenburgie or Glenburgie. I now want to call it Glenburgie all the time. Thanks to Ollie. Ollie, thanks to Ollie. I want to call it Glenburgie. But yeah, Glenburgie, I think it's one of my probably favorite underrated distilleries of all time. I think
absolutely phenomenal whiskey, and I'm so glad it's on this tasting because that bottle didn't last very long at all. Yeah, we put it on. That bottle was emptied at the bar like within 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got some.
yeah, it's amazing. It's such a good bottle.
Yeah. So 27-year-old refill Hogshead. I imagine most people here have had Glenburgie before in the chat. Yeah, lots of head nods. Yeah, cool.
So just sweet tropical fruits. It's lots of stone fruits. Awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those whiskeys that, and they're my favorite styles where, especially in a bourbon cask, they just shine, and it just gets prettier the older it gets. Like you could have a Glenburgie that's, 16 years old in a bourbon cask. It's great. 20 years old in a bourbon cask. Great. And then like over 20 years old, you're just like, oh, it's becomes delicate. It's caramelly. It's so pretty. And I love that about this distillery.
This is a really good example of low cask influence and just needs a little bit of age, and especially for in particularly the distilleries that's owned by Chivas, by Pernod Ricard, from the mid 90s. Simple bourbon cask, and all it does is bring the spirit character up. So the down age you're getting is a bit of that kind of rancio, that funk, and that mainly comes from actually from the spirit itself. And a lot of them have this. A lot of these, I guess you would say that the blending malts.
Yeah.
They just need age and bourbon cask. And after a certain age, I normally pick it like after about 17, 18 years, it's just in a plain bourbon cask, they start to develop all this really nice complexity. Yeah, anything up. It's just amazing. Yeah, mid-90s blending malts. Amazing. Them, Glenelgin, Teaninich, all these ones.
Yeah. Howard, unavailable to buy with the Glenburgie. No, I don't believe so. I think we only got the one bottle for tasting. Heartbreakingly, like I said, it kind of disappeared very quickly.
Yeah, it flew off the shelf.
Yeah. I think I think when you got the shipment in, I was there and you were immediately like, this is cool. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with these older blending whiskey distilleries and stuff like that once they hit. I mean, because I've got a Massam Samaroli 18-year-old Glenburgie just sitting there. That
phenomenal.
It's just so beautiful and needs more love. And I think that Ballantine's does a core release of a 17-year-old nowadays.
Yes,
as well.
that's correct. It was part of the Whiskey Club releases. They did a trio, and it was I think it was Glenburgie, Milton Duff, and Glentorcas.
Yeah.
Oh man, all of them great. Those ones, whoever got the Whiskey Club bottlings for those releases, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Killer value.
100%. That was
poor marketing though. Everyone get confused because it's Ballantine's blended whiskey. Like, it's not. The component single malt, and it's at 17 years old. It's delicious.
Yeah, I did kind of think when they first came out with that series of 3, the fact that they had to put Ballantine's so big at the top, and I was like, no, like your babies stand alone, like they can handle it. Like these distilleries speak so well for themselves. You don't need the header of Ballantine's, which I kind of almost feel would not degrade it because Ballantine's.
It was confusing. It confused a lot of people.
Yeah, really confusing. I hope that they do more releases of their distilleries in the same way Diageo does their Flora and Fauna series. But yeah.
But in the meantime, if you do want to taste those distilleries by themselves, if you ever visit any of the Chivas distilleries, I guess Abelaro would be the easiest one to visit. You can buy single cask releases from all these distilleries. They come in like a kind of a plain bottle with kind of a white label on it. A lot of it looks like kind of handwritten. I guess they call it the distilleries collection from memory.
Yeah, the distilleries edition, I think.
Yeah, you can buy them if you visit the distillery.
Yeah, they are yes, shockingly plain looking bottle.
Yes, they look like sample bottles, to be honest.
They do. They absolutely do. Yeah. Leo, whiskey nerds, like everyone here would know, but the marketing has to also reach out to the whiskey snobs. Yes, it's very, very true. And I think it's that thing, right, of Diageo trades so heavily on Johnny Walker as their brand name and not, the distilleries within it, like Glenmossy and Dalyuen and all that kind of stuff that we love here. But yeah, sorry you've got a migraine, Ian. But I hope you're at least enjoying the whiskies. I love Michael, very tropical pineapple coconut bounty. Ian, it's like an alcoholic calypso, and now I want a calypso. Yeah.
I was gonna say it tastes. I'm actually drinking a cruiser right now, a mango cruiser, and it's like, it's Glenburgie. God, it reminds me of this.
I will say, if anybody's ever curious as to what whiskey bartenders drink in their spare time, it is dirty smashable drinks like vodka cruiser.
This is a new flavor. This is research. I've not seen this flavor. This is part of a new series. I need to try this. Also, I'm in Griffith at the moment, so there's not much here. Yeah,
fair enough. You can look out soon that Elysian will be stocking vodka cruisers. But Leo, beautiful aged bourbon cask with a lot of richness on the finish. Yeah, it's the kind of whiskey that you're like, you can keep going back to, but then it can also be savored, and just so vibrant and fresh for the 27-year-old that it is. But yeah, amazing. Well, Michael's spot on with the ABV as well. Taking a while to unpack the complexity. Yes.
Yeah, let's just let this one go in the glass. It gets more expressive over time.
Mm.
Yeah, so just let it go in the glass. If you have an extra glass, just move on and leave some in the glass and let it open up. It gets sweeter actually.
Oh, now I just want to leave the mini sample because I only ever have one glass. Even though I tell you guys I recommend six, I only ever have one glass.
What are you talking about? Just go to just reach behind. I'm sure you got glasses in the shelf here.
You know what? Actually, no. So I only had room for whiskey and books. So yeah, I got my priorities right. But just neck it out the bottle if I have to. But let's move on to whiskey number 5. So this is another one of our swap it out drams, probably the most special swap it out dram that we had to do because of the Ozpost delays and whatnot. So we've got this secret Highland region. It's obviously Clynelish. It's obviously hence why we put Clynelish on the label. 21-year-old sherry butt. Yeah, do you know if it was full maturation sherry butt? Because that looks.
This was full maturation, but I don't know if you saw the label on it.
Hmm.
It actually points more towards Loch Lomond.
Really?
Yeah, if you look at the label, and I do agree with the flavor of it, the Secret Highland, and I spoke to a couple of other bottlers about it as well, because generally they actually don't know. I reckon there were a couple of parcels from 2000 that were actually from Loch Lomond, or actually Old Rosdu, that was kind of mixed in. I spoke to Mark Watt about this. I spoke to Angus about this actually as well.
Is this the bottle?
And yeah, that's the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
You see the little Loch Ness monster on it, and yeah, a couple of different things in there. But for me, yeah, you
No.
see the Captain Haddock hat.
Captain Haddock and the Tin. Yeah, no, okay.
So for me, I think this points to its Loch Lomond actually.
Yeah.
And the ultimate. This is like a dirty, dirty sherry dram. It's like mineral, like diesel. If you enjoy like real, like kind of gutsy drams, this one is like fusel.
Mm.
Particularly enjoyed in the Eastern European market, especially by the Germans.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
they really, really like this. It's so dirty.
It's so weird on the nose. It's got this there was actually, you know what? It was that last Thompson Brothers, I think it was also a secret Highland 21-year-old, not this, but something else. And it was a lot darker and it just smelled and tasted so weird and so wild and so wacky.
There was another one, yeah. Was it the Aloha whiskey one, or maybe?
Yeah, I think it was
I
much,
can't
much
remember which one
earlier
it
this
was.
year. Way more sherry on it than
Because
this.
they've done a few 20, 21-year-old Highlands. But this one, for me, it was like, yeah, that could be a dirty Rosdu or a Loch Lomond of some sort. Definitely sherry cask, because it was there's quite a big yield on this cask. So
It's got that almost, I've never eaten durian, but I've smelled durian.
yeah.
It's
Oh yeah,
very much. Yeah.
that
It passes
fermenty funk. Yeah, funky for sure.
Yeah, no,
This one was extremely popular for what was it? I think Speakeasy Group did like a tasting thing online, and this bottle was like crazy popular.
yeah, wow. Yeah,
Wow,
well,
this is such a crazy dirty dram coming from the Glenburgie 27, which is like so clean and fruity. It's like polar opposite.
oh my God, I know, right? It's just like it's like a delicate traipse through a field, and then all of a sudden
Could
you're
have
in
passed as Craigellachie on the
you're in
nose.
the
Yeah,
quarry.
it's yeah, the spirit is definitely dirty enough to pass as Craigellachie for sure. That fattiness, like I said, something diesely oily about it, like motor oil.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's got those like when you smell those like tropical flowers that grow in the rainforest and like never get touched by humans or seen by humans, and they
Oh yeah,
smell like just weird and gross and like unlike any other flower you've ever smelled. It's got
yeah.
that like bizarre tropical flower kind of thing to it. Howard, I completely agree. Very sulfury. Yeah, could have passed Craigellachie 100%. Very funky. Yeah. such a polarizing dram.
Yeah,
But
it's like completely opposite of the spectrum.
yeah, I am. Yes, I am. I'm now swayed that this is probably from Loch Lomond. And we're obviously talking about Captain Haddock references and Tintin references on the label, but
I do hope everyone understands that reference,
yeah,
the Tintin one. I'm
yeah.
sure everyone should be old enough to understand that reference.
Hey, I never read Tintin, and I know.
Yeah, but you know Captain Haddock.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, Captain Haddock's drink of choice is Loch Lomond. They had, even in the cartoons, you go back now and you see they've drawn very carefully the little stag head for Loch Lomond on the bottles. So I do think so. Sometimes you can see a bottle of Loch Lomond called Haddock as its code name. I think we need to bring that back. I haven't seen a bottle of it in ages that says Haddock. But really, really cool. It's got a bit of that underripe mango skin thing to it as well. When you like pull the skin off a Kensington mango and it's like it's not fully ripe yet, it's still got that greenness to it. It's like all the way in. But it holds its ABV really well. Like
Agreed.
Yeah, Leo, not lovely but very interesting. Yeah, I'm not tickled by it, as it were. But yeah, definitely one that I will be thinking about for probably the next 6 months. Like the last one that came along, just like this funky.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very take it or leave it kind of one because it's certain markets really like this particular character. Like we had this Brook Laddie at the bar, and man, me and Kelvin just like hated it. We couldn't we hated it. Then we came along, then a couple guys from the single cask in Singapore came through. They're like, "Oh my fucking god, this is like the best whiskey ever." I was like, "You want the rest of the bottle? I'll sell it to you." And he bought it. He bought it. And he took it back and he gave it to some of his customers. They're like, "Oh, this is so freaking good." I was like, "Okay, man." Like I said, everyone's got different tastes.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks and all that.
100%, 100%. I was like, man, I couldn't do it, but he loved it. It was like one of the best drams he's tasted all year. It's like, no way.
Yeah, I love
that's
that.
how it is,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I will have to. I think I still have a sample of that Highland Mystery Highland Thompson Brothers bottling that we tasted earlier. So I'll have to bring them in on Wednesday.
That's a funny one. It's very, like I said, it's a very lottery thing. I do definitely believe that some of them are Clynelish for sure. Because I've tasted a few of them that were like either got it blind. I'm like, yeah, that's waxy enough and weird enough to be Clynelish from the 2000s.
Well, I will say, because this is a second of this style of whiskey that the Thompson brothers have bottled, do you think that the brothers might be really into really weird?
Hard to say. Because I've had two of these similar bottlings from what whiskey?
Oh yeah.
The bottle of what whiskey? I tried them not long ago. And they were both from 2000. One was a 21, one was a 22. That was just bottled recently. And they were all this particular profile. And Mark Ward was like, "This is so good. You're going to try this." I'm like, "Oh, I recognize this taste. I know what this is exactly. It's probably Loch Lomond." And he's like, he doesn't know.
Yeah, wow. Ian reckons it starts off tad bitter and sweetens on the finish. Yeah, I can't get that, but Sally loves the oyster taste. And now that you've said oyster, all I can
mineral.
Yeah, it's that
really mineral.
That little gritty mineralic bit. That oyster shell kind of thing. Oh yeah, 100%.
It was kissed by the Loch Ness monster.
I don't know. I don't know how enticing that makes it sound. Yeah. Ian's trying to decide if it's good or not. Oyster with a little bit of the beard left. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. All right. Well,
wait, oysters don't have beards, do they? You think of mussels?
No, oysters.
Is that right? Do oysters have beards too? No, I can't know. I don't know.
Nessie's
remember.
offspring. Look, unless we can find a marine biologist stat, I think we'll just have to agree that it's oyster-esque. But yeah, definitely the offspring of Nessie. Now, the final whiskey of the night is most definitely a Loch Lomond. So this is a Croftengea that we've got.
Banging.
Yeah.
This one's so good.
I think I feel like Croftengea kind of gets. We only mostly see Croftengeas now from Loch Lomond for independent bottlings. I don't think I've seen an Inchmoan or an Inchfad or an Inchmurren in years. So
there are some that are bottled OB bottlings as single cask, bottled for certain different markets, and I've tasted a few, and some of them were just killer. The Inchfad and the Croftengea single cask was so good. So we were like trying to figure out like, hey, how do we get an OB single cask bottling? But now that they've been sold, it's a bit more tricky. But yeah, they were giving out, and particularly the Asia region bought quite a few, like Inchfad, Inchmo, and single cask, and like PD Loch Lomond is killer. President Vito's had one, but do you know if it was an OB or an IB? Because there's definitely a lot of IBs here.
I think they had one that they bottled for Abbey, or one that they
that one was a whiskey agency one, I think, but which was great, which was also really good.
Yeah, really good. I'm just struck by how much it smells like pickled fennel. But yeah, I think that Croftengea, I recalled it being very oystery. Did I say? I can't.
Yep, there's definitely a lot of minerality to it for sure. So this particular cask, the decharred recharred, so that's what DCRC means, decharred recharred cask. There are quite a few that came out with other bottlers as well, and I do believe this one was quite similar to the sponge one, the one with the sponge Scotty on it, the Star Trek label.
Yes, well, I will say that one absolutely shocked me. Yeah, it was the Beam Me Up Scotty
that's
Star
the one.
Trek reference. I was going to say Star Wars, Star Trek, definitely Star Trek.
Yes, Star Trek. Don't confuse them.
Lest I have the wrath of the Trekkies upon me.
Wrath of Khan. That's what it is.
So Howard Ware is asking, what is Croftengea? Now, I am still yet to wrap my head around the specificities of every single one of the 13 different styles that Loch Lomond can make. Yao, you probably have a better definition of how Croftengea is produced specifically.
So for that one, yes, it is peated. Yes, I would say this Croftengea is the single malt style produced at Loch Lomond, but peated spirit. So peated single malt. And I think for Croftengea, I do believe it's just regular pot still. Not open plate Lomond. It's just regular pot.
Yeah. I think there was something about, I think the Croftengea is, I think they do a high cut on it. So it's a lot narrower, the cut. And then I think Inchfad is also possibly peated, but then it's a lower.
Yes, Inchfad is peated, but I can't remember if it's higher or lower. That's the problem. There's a big diagram actually of this. But the thing about a lot of these names, they are just internal markers used by the distillery. So sometimes they do cross over, and yeah, you can't super be sure. But what's important, like for me, when I see a Croftengea, it's delicious.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like if you want something peated, funky, like if you want to have a weird Kaolila, you get a Croftengea. It's all those like creamy vanilla notes, but just slightly wrong. That makes sense. Wrong in all the right ways.
For me, I've always find like, especially Croftengea, if you got it blind, I always got like, oh man, this could be like a peaty or Springbank. It's got enough funk. If it's in the right cask, it has enough fruit, and then that kind of mineral peaty character. Actually, honestly, for me, it tastes a lot like Springbank,
Yeah, it's got those kind of like,
but way
especially
cheaper
those
and easier to
younger
get.
ones. Yeah. Yeah, way cheaper. Way,
But
way.
don't spread that around. Don't spread that around, otherwise it becomes hard to get. Just keep it to yourselves.
So if we find things exactly like Springbank, nobody tell anyone, because otherwise it'll disappear again.
Yeah, seriously, don't overhype Loch Lomond because it gets slept on a lot. And yeah, peated and unpeated, they produce some pretty amazing spirit. But I'm sort of glad it kind of flies under the radar a little bit, so you can enjoy some really good drams. Yeah, great stuff. Even the official bottlings are great.
Yeah, I'm the official bottlings are relatively well priced, relatively accessible, and just super quaffable. And yeah, they get slept on a lot, so they're often on sale. Sally reckons smells like islands or Islay or Rassay. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Ian, I think it could be Talisker Tobermory style vibe, island influenced. Yeah, it's so interesting because I mean, Loch Lomond is on the water, but are they coastal in the same way? My geography is terrible.
You can, I mean, I would consider the profile to be a slightly like that kind of coastal, kind of salty peat, but also got with a fruit in it.
Yeah.
Like Ardnamurchan and that kind of profile. Rassay, someone mentioned earlier, Rassay, yeah. It's got a little bit of that going on. Talisker.
Yeah.
Like rough. It's like rough.
Yeah, it's not too similar, not too dissimilar. Isla Harris distillery just released theirs. It's kind of got a similar kind of Hessian fiberiness, sweetness.
Oh man, that was really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone had the chance to try the Herak. Wow, that's super delicious. When I got a blind sample of it, I was like, it's like a clean Highland Park, you know?
I was super
earthiness.
duper impressed as like for a first release from a Scottish distillery. Like I think about, and no shade to the Adelphi guys, but the early Ardnamurchans were not the best. But
yeah.
I think once they hit that kind of 5-6 year mark of production, they hit their stride, and now it's absolutely phenomenal. And like I can happily order an Ardnamurchan now without worrying about it. But yeah, for the Herak,
and they managed to keep it, fairly low priced, which is quite great.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. All right. Michael Pete's very subdued on my palate and finish. Leo reminds you of a 12-year-old Kalila with sweet wine finish, musket maybe. Very, very cool. Well, we might release the poll so that you can give us your top 2 whiskies of the night. You can pick 2. You
can pick 1 for the number 2 because clearly the Glenburgie is the best.
Yeah, obviously. How has? Can you guys see the poll? No, I didn't think so. Continue. Yes. Go. Ollie tried something new.
There we go.
There we are. All right. Now, Yao, you and I can see the results.
Oh, yes.
I think not certain how it works. Ollie tried doing this thing where you can rank them top to right. Oh, wrong poll, just came back in. Ollie, please help. Tech help. Because I have no idea how this works. All right, I'll get him to give it a crack. But yes, hopefully he can sort it out. There we go. So yeah, you and I can see the results. It's like the greatest horse race ever. We'll share them at the end. It's very exciting. There we are. Now it's working. This is why we shouldn't deviate, Ollie. Stick with the plan. But yeah, apparently there was a.
This is a 2-question poll.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
There is a second question at the bottom.
This new? Yeah.
Yes.
I've not seen this option. How curious.
All right. Okay. Oh my gosh, everyone 100% answered the Thompson Brothers. So if you've got a favorite one, awesome. If you got a top two, equally as awesome. You can vote for both of them as well. So, right, 14 of 15. You don't count, Yao, because we can't vote, sadly. Drum roll, please. And you're bang on right. The Glenburgie is absolutely the winner of the evening, surprising absolutely no one. I'm thrilled to see the Croftengea got
Oh yeah,
love.
nice. That's good.
Yeah.
I would have selected the same, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
One solo vote for the Secret Highland. Probably Sally loves the who loves the oyster. I totally get that. And like a little bit of love for the early ones, which always suffer from being at the start, which is fair enough. But yeah, amazing. And do you want to do 1 to 2 more virtual tastings in early December? Yes, excellent. That means that as awful as Ozpost is, I will push through. I will get cracking on them to get you guys some virtual tastings before the end of the year. I think we have Ollie might be lurking around, but hopefully we'll be doing Ultimate Whiskey Champs, which is our blind whiskey tasting. Hopefully in January, I think. Yeah, January, February. We just wanted to delay it a bit because we had so much going on. Leo, you'd like to try the all 6 rating poll regularly. Yeah, I think that if we can get it to work, we might need a little bit more tweaking and figuring out how it works. But 100%, hopefully at some point in the future we can get the ranking of them. Michael asking the important question: when is the Decadent Drinks virtual tasting coming up? They have landed. They are here. I think it's in the plans. But that is an Ollie question. In December if Angus is free. So that one will be coming up soon for you guys. I will pop the link again in the chat if you wanted to grab a bottle. I think we have a few of them, not the Glenburgie, heartbreakingly, sadly, and the Williamson and the Glenallachie. But otherwise, that concludes officially the tasting. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time out to share your wisdom and knowledge. And even though you couldn't physically share the drams with us, I'm sure you've tasted.
It's okay, I gotta drink a new flavor of Mango Cruiser. I'm pretty
exactly
pretty good.
So you're the real winner here, trying a Mango Cruiser. But yeah.
Yeah, if anybody wants to know about the flavor profile of the Glenallachie, it's for the sherry lover. It's a medium heavy sherry, lots of kind of malty honeycomb. And the Williamson Lafroig is a very kind of clean peat but very mineral salty style.
Yeah.
Both great. And yeah, plenty of those ones around. So except the Glenallachie, I think that one's done. But I think Whiskey List has the rest of them.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. And yes, thank you, Yao, for sharing that. I have not tried them, so but yeah, Ollie says it's 3 bottles of Glenallachie. Thank you everybody for coming along. I'm sure we will announce, I think we've got virtual tastings coming up soon that I might see you at next. Otherwise we will keep you updated with any new and exciting tastings we have coming up closer to the Christmas period. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, if you wanted to hang back a little bit and debrief.
Sure.
But otherwise, I'll leave it there for the night, guys. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining in.
There's the